Hello and welcome to Dwarf Fortress. I'm Twisted Logic. This video is going to be a follow-up to a few questions. Just a few questions and answers on the military setup video. So S. Ataz asked, well, it's more of a statement than a question, but he asked, assigning the exact specific gear to your dwarves to wear is much safer and a better option in my opinion. Sure, it might take longer, but there won't be any bugs or issues with mismatch. Now, I did reply to him, and I told him kind of like, you know, I'll do that with artifact weapons usually only. But how you do it is you press M for military, and then I'm going to assign my dwarves to a squad here. So they're assigned now, so I'm going to press E for equipment. And then, just on lore here, I can come down to his, he's got a steel individual choice melee, get rid of that. He's got an adamantite individual choice melee, get rid of that, and the steel crossbow we can get rid of. I can press Shift W for weapon on this screen here, and then tell him to use a specific weapon. If I press enter now, I can assign him one of the artifact weapons that I have here. So, Lund Biscuit. So he's got this specific weapon now. That's an artifact weapon. I can go to Shift S, specific shield, and then come down in this list to a free shield and just pick whichever one there that I want. And now that shield is for that dwarf. However, I find that very tedious, at least in this fortress, because I have 20 squads set up. I'm not necessarily going to use all of them at once. So I'll go to Shift U to assign uniforms. And then on mixed unit here, I'll Shift Enter. Okay, now I'll also, the next squad down, I'll also add dwarves into this. And I'm just going to fill up all the squads here, as many as I can get. Okay, so I assigned all the dwarves to the military. If I go to the military tab here, I have 13 squads filled, and then the 5 dwarves in the nobles squad. So now they're going to pick up their equipment, and if I press U for units, they're all going to pick up their equipment. He's eating still. This guy's going to dump an item, but they're going to go pick everything up in these 2 stockpiles here. I think this is weapons and this is armor, and then there's one other stockpile for the leather that they require and the socks. So they're picking up everything now. If I go to military alerts and just turn everybody to inactive. So everybody's inactive on the military alerts, which means they have no scheduled orders. And in Dwarf Therapist, I had turned all of their labors off, so they're not assigned to do anything at all. That only really speeds things up right now, with the work assignments off. And you're not going to get a mismatch if one of your military members is also a woodcutter or a miner. So if you have a woodcutting task assigned, and that dwarf is not in a squad that has battle axes as a weapon, then they're going to have an equipment mismatch with the weapon type. So if they're a miner and they're on a squad that mining picks aren't assigned as the weapon, and the mining picks can be devastating with damage. A miner can just one hit kill a dragon. If he's, I believe, trained in a legendary miner skill using a mining pick as a weapon, and then also I believe it's axe dwarf training. I was reading something about that in the forums. Don't quote me directly on that, but I was reading something about that a long time ago, about about the way you can do a lot of damage with the miners. However, now everybody's going to pick up their equipment, and since their military squad alert, so military alert, the civilian alert can be really set to anything. I can set the civilian alert here to full training, but the squad alert is still per squad set to inactive. They're not going to spar in this situation. They're only going to be doing individual combat drills. They're inactive. You didn't tell them to do any kind of training at all. If I come down to Panda here, the archers don't train at the archery targets. The archery targets here. Okay, so the archery can be many different things of why they're not archery training. One of them could be that the dwarves are not told to train. They're not going to archery train unless their training is active. So if they're inactive, then they're only going to do a individual combat drill. They're not going to do any dodging demonstrations or anything like that. We'll see here. Now some of them are starting to train here. If I press U, individual combat drill, individual combat drill. These guys are still picking up equipment, so that'll become more apparent in a few minutes when they get sorted. But each one of these archery targets is its own room. So you can't just set one of them as a room and then expect it to work for all of them. Every single archery target has to be set as its own room. You need to get the shooting correct from right to left. And then each of the squads here has to be told to train. See, I missed one here. Train on that specific target. So every target has to be its own room, and all of the squads that you want to train on that target have to be assigned to train on that target. The next thing that can go wrong with archery training is if you press M for military and then F for ammunition, and your ammunition is not set for each squad. So the squad needs to have a combat bolt, and it also needs a training bolt. They could be one and the same. You could tell them to use bone bolts for combat and training. I have metal here, but you want to set it higher than 100. I like 300 as a minimum, so that's 30 bolts per squad member. Yeah, so no one sparring could also be that their scheduled orders are not set properly. Their scheduled orders need to be trained, and then they also need a training room. So each of these armor stands here are set as a giant room, and then all of the squads are assigned to train in that room. I could set this one, and they'll train in here. It'll be great. You know, they need a place to train as well, as an order to train. Dwarves turn into soldiers, but just stand around doing nothing. That sounds like if you go to tell them to station somewhere, they'll just hang out in that area. Panda, if you could tell, if this is happening here, if this video doesn't explain or fix your issues with them standing around, go into the units list and let me know what it says in the units list. So if I press units, if I press U for units here, individual combat drill, this guy's praying, equipment. If it says no job, I got some new arrivals. If it says no job like this, then that could be that they're waiting to get a job. It could also, like, it looks like they're standing around here, but they're, if you click on them here, individual combat drill, We're on the Dwarf Fortress wiki for equipment mismatch, and it's telling us right here that equipment mismatch usually isn't as bad as it sounds. It often means that a military dwarf was on their way to pick up a piece of gear when a more appropriate or better piece of gear becomes available. As an example, they're going to pick up metal leggings here, so they're on their way to pick up copper, and then your armor smith makes steel leggings, so they get an equipment mismatch. Hey, I want these steel leggings instead. The military dwarf will cancel the collection of copper leggings with this message, and then move to collect the steel ones instead. This happens fairly often when your smiths are cranking out large number of military items for your soldiers, and your soldiers are hustling about collecting the items. This error may also occur with the military equipping bugs, and then we have a bug code right here which I can click on. This is still an open bug here. Okay, so here's a bug description about it. It looks like what's happening is that they are spending a considerable amount of time moving to and from items, standing over weapon and armor stockpiles instead of doing anything useful. It's done repeatedly, even when new equipment is being produced. Dwarves will also abandon the station order to do this, so it's rare for more than half of the available squad members to actually be stationed. Forbidding excessive will prevent the violence. Steps are reproduced. Create a squad, assign them uniform, make more than enough equipment for them. Create a stockpile for the extra equipment. The stockpile will always have dwarves swapping equipment back and forth. This might actually have to do with item wear. Just by reading this right here, it may be that they're... Now, I could be wrong on this, but this is just my first look at the bug assumption of it, is that when the dwarves pick up an item, the wear goes down after a certain amount of time, and they want to switch it with a newer item that hasn't been worn yet, and then the wear on that item goes down, so that, hey, it seems like it wouldn't happen instantaneously, but if they pick up a shield and then go and spar with it, that shield gets dinged up a little bit. They're like, hey, I want a new shield, so they're gonna go swap it out for a pristine one. I could be very wrong on that, I'm not really sure. So this is a bug as well, but that situation is in my fortress, and that I have more than enough equipment for everybody in the fortress. And now some of them are still picking up equipment, some are sleeping and drinking, but looks like most of them are doing the individual combat drill. Now if I go to military alerts and then tell them to do medium training here, enter. Oh, well, the civilian alert doesn't make a difference, but if I go to the squad alert, just press enter and down all the way down the list here. Now the medium training is half of them are going to be assigned to train at any one time. So 5 members of the squad should be training at any one time, and it looks like they still are doing individual combat drills. Once their current individual combat drill is complete, and the code goes down the line to look for what am I doing next as this dwarf, they may find that, okay, now this order is now active, so I'm going to do some squad training, and they may do a dodging demonstration or a kicking demonstration. And then some of the higher level members, let's see, it just reset now, so they're going off to do their thing. Some of them may be going resting, some of them may be going to drink, maybe go to the temple. Once the dwarves get to a certain skill level, that's when they start sparring. They're not going to start sparring immediately. When the dwarves are low skill in military, in like combat skills, they are going to watch demonstrations and perform demonstrations until they get high enough. Then they're going to start sparring. If I go to units now, sparring. These guys are sparring. He's leading and watching armor demonstrations. He's watching sparring practice. Go to a sparring match. See, now that they're assigned to train in the schedule, they're starting to go. They're starting to train. And, you know, one thing that you can do is tell them to station somewhere. So I can go to squad A, move, and then tell them to go station over there, and that anybody in that squad who doesn't have the required items may go and get them at this point. It kind of cancels what they're doing and tells them to be an active part of the military, which may solve some of your issues. When I set the squad up for the first time in a fortress, after I assign all their uniforms and everything like that, I tell them to station. So that way they go pick up everything and get ready to station, and then they station, and then I cancel it. So squad A orders. And that'll tell them, hey, I gotta get ready to go be in the military now. Papanda? Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. This is the current version I'm in. And you know what? I really appreciate the great feedback you guys are giving me on these videos. I enjoy making them and spreading knowledge. So I'm going to press C for the civilizations menu. And I'm going to come down here to the Dark Goblin Fortress of Island Horror. Population 500. This used to be 10,000. I've been, this is my test fortress, and I've been raiding this site, so I'm going to press R to raid the site, D for details, and I've been doing a combination of raising the site, attempting to raise the site, and attempting to conquer the site. I think I want to raise it, though. I think ultimately I want this just destroyed. So X to raise the site, and then what I'm going to do in these options, I'm going to press O, Shift A, I, and L. I only want to free captives belonging to my civilizations. I don't want to release other prisoners. I don't want to take any treasures. I don't want to loot. I don't want to steal. So just gonna free captives. I don't know if I have any. And now enter to assign the squads. And I'm just gonna go down this list here. Shift enter all the way down. Oh no, down enter all the way down except for nobles. The noble squad I'm not going to send out. But these 19 squads I'm going to send out. Now only 13 of them have commanders. So 13 squads are going to go attack this. And now, once I come out of that menu and I'm back into Dwarf Fortress, it's going to update that order. Looks like it's not responding here for a second, but then it goes. And now, if I go to the units, everybody's going to raise Island Horror. I'm going to press Z to follow this unit. Unpause the game. And now our forces are going to attack. So that's 130 dwarves are going. Now, some of them are still meditating. I'm sure that some of these guys are part of the military, so they're not all going to go. Not every single one of them are going to go, but a lot of them are. I'm going to think about at least 80 or 90% of these dwarves are going to make it over there to attack. Now they're going around this bridge here because of my traffic orders. I don't like them walking on the bridge there in case I have to open or close it in a moment's notice, so I don't want to crush anybody, so I've set my traffic orders. So they're going to come around and just dip that corner and... they're still leaving here. So this is the year 866 in the test fortress, and this is the second test fortress on this map. We've been attacking island horrors for a little over 50 years now, over 2 fortresses, and we set up all these different sites around the fortress. We conquered all the goblin pits. We conquered the other little settlements that were starting to pop up over for goblins. This site actually had goblins on the map when I first started. If I come up here to the top level here, this house here was a goblin house, so is this. I think there's one more up here somewhere. He's going to pick up equipment, he's going to store an item in a bin, and this guy's going to sleep. When they should be going out to raid island horrors. However, that's fine, you know, you get most of them to go. Now it looks like a lot of them are off the map now. We still have a couple on the map that are trying to go. Oh, okay, so they're leaving. There was a dragon that burnt most of this map out in certain areas. Now, if you have a jail set up, and one of your military dwarves is serving time, and he also is assigned to go raid, he's going to continue to sit in the cell there until his until justice is served. So a decent amount of time has passed in-game. They're still not back from the mission yet, but if I go to the military tab, you can see that in this list here, next to each of the dwarves' name, it says they're traveling. Now, sometimes after they return, after the mission report comes back and they're still returning, you might still have traveling dwarves in here. And if they're captured, it may be that they're always traveling. You know, the list doesn't get cleared out in some circumstances. Okay, so my squads are back, and I have a little M here in the corner bar here, which means I have a mission report. I have an S here, which means that some of the dwarves are sparring. I can also have a H up here, and that has to do with hunting. And then the C is a combat report. So I'm going to press R for reports, and take a look at this mission report. 7th of Hematite, 866, and then we have the whole mission report here. I can press spacebar to pause this. If you'd like to read it, you can pause it. I'm not going to read it aloud. I'll let it scroll again. Now, but what's interesting here is that this bison monster, stole knob, rock spits of rawness, of poison outmatched the dwarf call with a cunning plan, and the defenders had a strong positional advantage in island horror. So that bison monster is the demon that's in charge of this dark fortress. So he had a strong position. And then it gives us different reports here. It looks like the bison monster defeated him. And then it shows the return path there. Now, after some time, because they're still traveling back, but after some time, if these traveling flags don't get removed in the military tab here, then you can just assign a new dwarf to that squad position, and it'll replace. If they're going to come back, you don't have to do it right away. I would wait some time for everybody to return. Like right now, it's a little too early for me to do it. But if after a few months in game they haven't returned yet and it still says traveling here, you can just replace them with another dwarf. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this, hit the thumbs up and subscribe for more videos.